guys, welcome you all to the Insights into Books podcast. Before we start, kindly follow or subscribe us, and if you want daily summary files of these books, then subscribe us on Gumroad. Links are in description. Now, let's start today's discussion, guys. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really diving into some pretty deep waters, exploring ideas about consciousness, peace, and how we actually experience life.
That's right. Ideas that can genuinely shift how you see everything.
Exactly. And, it feels like everyone's looking for that sense of inner peace, right? That fulfillment. But we often look, maybe in all the wrong places.
Constantly chasing it.
Yeah.
Believing it's in the next job, the next relationship, somewhere out there in the future.
Right. Convinced that then we'll finally be okay. But what if that whole search is fundamentally mistaken? What if peace isn't something you get later, but something that's actually accessible right now?
That's the core challenge, isn't it?
Right.
And the core liberation. It suggests peace is already here beneath the noise.
So our mission today is to really unpack that, to look at these powerful insights, maybe challenge our usual ways of thinking, our default settings, you could say.
And hopefully offer a perspective that might bring about some real lasting change. Not just abstract ideas, but something tangible.
Yeah, something you can feel in your day-to-day life. And what's fascinating, as you mentioned before we started, is these aren't exactly brand new ideas, are they?
Not at all. They're really echoes of ancient wisdom, stuff people have talked about for thousands of years, but maybe presented in a way that clicks for us now in our modern lives.
Like timeless truths finding a new voice.
Precisely. And they point towards how our own minds, which are incredible tools, let's be clear,
Absolutely.
can also become our biggest roadblocks, the biggest obstacles to just experiencing joy or presence.
So we're going to explore that internal landscape, how it shapes everything, and maybe how a different relationship with our thoughts can unlock, a lot more freedom.
A whole lot more freedom. That's the aim.
Okay, let's start with the absolute foundation. And it sounds so simple, almost too simple maybe. The idea that the present moment, the now, is the only true reality.
It does sound simple, but when you really sit with it...
Yeah, think about it honestly. Have you personally ever experienced anything outside of this very moment you're in right now? Done anything? Felt anything?
Can you even conceive of doing something yesterday or tomorrow? No, any thought about yesterday or tomorrow happens.
Right now.
Right now, exactly. It's the only place anything ever happens.
It's undeniable when you look at it directly, and yet our minds, they just don't live there, do they? They're constantly somewhere else.
Constantly. Either digging through the past, replaying memories, regrets, old arguments, maybe even glories.
Or jumping ahead, right? Planning, worrying, anticipating what's coming next.
All this mental energy poured into these times that don't actually exist except as thoughts in the present.
It's like we're standing on solid ground, but staring intently at the horizon, completely missing the richness right under our feet.
That's a great way to put it. And this is where making a distinction becomes really, really helpful. The difference between what you might call clock time and psychological time.
Okay, clock time. That sounds like, my watch, my calendar.
Exactly. It's the practical side of time. You needed to schedule appointments, plan a project, learn from past mistakes, organize your day. It's functional, a tool.
Makes sense. We need that to function in the world.
Absolutely. But psychological time, that's different. That's when the mind gets identified with the past and future.
Identify? What do you mean by that?
It means your sense of self, who you think you are, gets tangled up in past events or future projections. It's this constant mental preoccupation.
Okay, so it's not just thinking about the past, it's like living in it mentally.
Precisely. Or constantly projecting yourself into the future, seeking fulfillment, or worrying about what might go wrong. And that is what tends to cover up the present moment.
Making life feel heavy, like a burden.
Yes, exactly. It can turn life into a struggle because you're never fully where you are. It's like this mental disease almost, where the mind's running the show instead of you using the mind.
Wow, a disease. That's strong language.
It is, but it highlights how pervasive and damaging it can be. Think about this insight. You can always cope with the now, but you can never cope with the future, nor do you have to.
Say that again. You can always cope with the now.
But you can never cope with the future, nor do you have to, because the future isn't here yet. It's just a thought. Trying to cope with a thought is impossible and unnecessary. Your power, your ability to handle things exists only now.
That really shifts things, because so much anxiety is about the future, isn't it? Trying to mentally solve problems that haven't happened.
Exactly. And think about how much of our lives are spent just Waiting.
Waiting. Like in a queue.
Well, yes, that too. Small-scale waiting, but I mean large-scale waiting. Waiting for the weekend, waiting for a vacation,
Waiting for that promotion.
waiting to meet the right person, waiting for the kids to grow up, waiting to retire.
Waiting for things to get better somehow.
Yes. Or even waiting for enlightenment, for that final breakthrough. It's this pervasive state of mind where the present moment is just seen as an obstacle, something to get through to reach a better future moment.
And that waiting as a state of mind, it creates this constant background hum of dissatisfaction, doesn't it?
It does, an inner conflict. Because you're essentially saying no to the present moment. You're saying, I don't want to be here. I want to be there in that future I'm imagining.
Which means you miss your actual life unfolding.
You lose the present completely because your attention, your consciousness is consumed by what's not here. This delusion of time is a huge source of stress and unhappiness.
So the invitation is to what? Just stop waiting.
In a sense, yes, to end that delusion, to just be here, now, and find the enjoyment in simply being. Imagine if someone asked what you were waiting for and you could honestly say, nothing. I was just standing here enjoying myself, enjoying the now.
That feels radical, but also incredibly freeing.
It is. It's about reclaiming the present moment as the primary reality of your life.
Okay, so if we're so caught in this time trap, living in the past or future, it makes you wonder, who is the I that's doing all this thinking, this constant mental chatter?
Exactly. Which brings us to the next really big, potentially unsettling idea. You are not your mind. You are not that voice in your head.
Oh, okay, that is unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
Because surely that voice is me. My thoughts, my feelings, my opinions.
Mm-hmm.
That's my identity, right?
That's what we're conditioned to believe, absolutely.
Yeah.
But this perspective suggests that identifying so strongly with that stream of thought, that internal monologue, it actually creates a kind of screen.
A screen?
Yeah, an opaque screen of concepts, labels, images, words, judgments, and definitions that blocks all true relationship. It blocks your connection to others, to nature, even to your deeper self.
So the constant commentary is actually getting in the way.
It can, yes.
Yeah.
And think about this. Not being able to stop thinking is a dreadful affliction.
Mm.
But we don't see it that way because, well, almost everyone experiences it. It's considered normal.
Right. If everyone has a headache, you assume headaches are just part of life.
Exactly. We're so immersed in this constant mental noise, we don't realize it's a source of suffering, of tension.
Yeah.
The mind, when it runs unchecked, when it uses us instead of us using it, that's the delusion, believing that you are your mind.
Okay, so if I'm not the voice in my head, what's the alternative? What is this mind or ego then?
Right. The term often used here is ego. And it's not necessarily about being arrogant, though that can be one manifestation. Fundamentally, the ego is described as the mind-made sense of self.
Mind-made.
Yeah, it's essentially the story we have in our minds about who we are and where we fit in the world.
Yeah.
Based on past experiences, roles, beliefs, possessions.
My personal history, my job title, my relationships, all that stuff.
All that stuff. And while having a functional sense of self is obviously necessary to, fill out forms and interact in society, the identification with this story, believing it's the totality of who you are, that's where the problems arise. Because this ego is deeply obsessed with the past.
Why the past?
Because its identity is built on it. It needs memories, grievances, achievements, failures, the whole narrative to sustain itself. It keeps replaying these mind loops, which keeps you anchored in psychological time, away from the now.
So the ego is like a creature made of old stories.
In a way, yes. And despite any outward confidence it might project, it's described as having a phantom nature. It's actually incredibly vulnerable and insecure.
Really? Even if someone seems super confident?
Especially then, sometimes. Because it feels constantly under threat. Its existence is based on thought forms, which are inherently unstable. So it always needs to defend itself, prove itself, be right, control things.
Okay, that feeling of needing to be right in an argument.
Yeah.
Is that the ego?
Very often, yes.
Yeah.
And what's the underlying emotion driving all this defensiveness, this feeling of being under threat? Fear, exactly. The body reacts to the mind's constant threat messages. And ultimately, this fear is connected to the ego's deepest terror, the fear of death, of annihilation.
Wow. So arguing about politics or something trivial could actually be rooted in a fear of annihilation.
On an unconscious level, yes.
Yes.
Because for the ego, being wrong, having its mental position demolished, feels like a kind of death. Its sense of self is threatened. It's why people cling so fiercely to beliefs, defend their opinions so aggressively. It feels existential.
That sheds a whole new light on arguments and defensiveness. It makes you pause and ask, what am I really defending here?
Precisely. Are you defending something essential? Or are you defending an illusory identity, an image in your mind, a fictitious entity?
Just a story.
Just a story. And realizing this is incredibly liberating. Because true power isn't in defending that story or trying to control things externally. It lies within, accessible now.
And the key is realizing you are not the possessing entity, the thinker. You're not the ego.
That realization is the start of freedom. It's like a light switching on, activating a higher level of consciousness. You begin to see the thinker rather than just being the thinker.
You become the witness.
You become the witness. And it's crucial to understand that this isn't about destroying the mind or thinking it's bad. The mind is a magnificent tool.
Right. We need it.
We need it for so many things. But the delusion is believing that's all you are. And the insight is that all the things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace, arise from beyond the mind.
Beyond the mind.
Yes. They don't come from more thinking, more analysis, more concepts. They emerge from that deeper dimension of consciousness, from being, when the mind is quiet, when you're present.
So it's about using the mind consciously as a tool, not letting it be the unconscious master.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, so if I'm not my mind, not the ego, then who am I? And practically, how do I start untangling myself from this voice that's been running the show my whole life?
Great question. And this leads us directly into the practice, the experiential part. It's about becoming the watcher or the witness of your thoughts and emotions.
The watcher we just mentioned.
Yes. And the instruction is simple, though not always easy. Start listening to the voice in your head as often as you can. Just listen to it.
Like eavesdropping on myself.
Kind of. Pay particular attention to any repetitive thought patterns, those old gramophone records that have been playing in your head perhaps for many years. The same worries, the same complaints, the same judgments.
Yeah, we all have those.
We do. And the key is not to engage, not to argue with them, not to try and force them to stop. Just listen, observe.
So just notice the thoughts flying by without getting on the plane with them.
Beautifully put. It's about creating a little bit of space. Recognizing there's the thought, and here I am, watching the thought. There's the emotion, and here I am, feeling the emotion, but also aware of it.
That simple act of noticing, it feels like that's the beginning of freedom right there.
It absolutely is. Because in that noticing, you're implicitly disidentifying. You're no longer completely fused with a thought or emotion. And this practice of watching the thinker, it does something remarkable.
What's that?
It naturally creates a gap in the mind stream. Little moments of stillness.
Gaps, like moments where there's no thought.
Exactly, moments of no mind. But it's not a dull, zoned-out state. You're actually highly alert and aware, but not thinking. This is the very essence of meditation.
So meditation isn't about forcing the mind blank.
Not at all. It's about stepping back from the mental commentary and simply witnessing it. And as you do this, something shifts. The act of observing draws consciousness away from mind activity.
You're taking your energy back from the thoughts.
Precisely. And crucially, this observation needs to be not critically or analytically, but non-judgmentally. That's key.
No judging the thoughts, even the bad ones.
Especially the bad ones, because judgment is just more thinking, more ego. Just watch. Allow them to be there without resistance. As you do this, the watcher pure consciousness beyond form becomes stronger, and the mental formations become weaker.
So the witnessing presence gets stronger and the hold of the thoughts loosens.
Exactly. It's like you're starving the habitual thought patterns of the attention they need to survive. You're not fighting them. You're just withdrawing the fuel.
And these gaps, these moments of no mind, they feel peaceful.
Deeply peaceful. It's a profound sense of inner stillness and clarity. And every time you create such a gap, even for a second or two, the light of your consciousness grows stronger.
Wow. Okay, so how do I bring this into my busy life? I don't always have time to sit and formally meditate.
And you don't need to. That's the beauty of it. You can integrate this awareness into everyday activities. Take something totally routine.
Like brushing my teeth.
Perfect. Or washing dishes, walking to your car, waiting for the elevator. Give that simple activity your fullest attention so that it becomes an end in itself.
So really feel the water, notice the movement, be totally present with the sensation.
Exactly. Be there completely. Don't be mentally rehearsing your next meeting or replaying an argument while you're washing the dishes. Just wash the dishes.
And the way to know if I'm succeeding isn't how long I can stay thought-free, but
the degree of peace that you feel within. That's your immediate feedback. That inner sense of ease, of calm, is the direct result of being present.
That makes it very practical, very accessible.
It really does. And it's so important because, let's be honest, a huge chunk of our thinking is, well, kind of useless, isn't it?
Definitely repetitive.
Estimates suggest 80 to 90% of most people thinking is not only repetitive and useless, but because of its dysfunctional and often negative nature, much of it is also harmful.
80 to 90%. That's staggering.
It is. Think of the wasted energy. This constant, often negative mental churn is described as a serious leakage of vital energy.
So observing the mind isn't just about peace, it's about reclaiming energy.
Absolutely. By becoming the witness, you plug that leak. You stop feeding the dysfunctional patterns. You reclaim that consciousness, that energy for living more fully, more presently.
Every gap you create strengthens your presence.
It strengthens your consciousness, your ability to choose presence over being lost in thought. It helps you see the mind for what it is. A tool, a brilliant tool, but not who you are.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense. Presence, watching the mind. But what about suffering? We all experience pain, loss, difficulty. How does this connect?
That's a crucial question. And the perspective here is quite radical. The greater part of human pain is unnecessary.
Unnecessary. How can pain be unnecessary?
It's specified as human pain, the suffering we add on top of life's inherent difficulties. It's self-created as long as the unobserved mind runs your life.
Self-created. How?
Through those repetitive mind loops we talked about. Endless worrying about things you can't control. Resisting what's happening right now. Projecting worst-case scenarios into the future. Judging yourself, judging others.
All that mental activity adds layers of suffering onto the actual event.
Precisely. Consider this statement. All problems are illusions in the present moment.
Whoa, hang on. All problems. What about illness or losing your job? Those feel like real problems.
Absolutely. Those are real challenges, life situations that need to be dealt with. But the problem in the sense of the mental story, the worry, the anxiety, the resistance that creates suffering, where does that exist?
In my mind.
In your mind. If you bring your full attention right now to this very moment, stripping away the past story and future projection, what actual problem do you have right now?
Right now, just sitting here talking, nothing immediate. But the mind jumps straight to the what-ifs and the should-haves.
Exactly. And that's where the suffering arises. It's the resistance to what is, the mental commentary about the situation, not the situation itself. Much of our unease comes from this non-acceptance.
So this leads to the idea of acceptance and surrender.
Yes, and these words can be easily misunderstood. It's vital to clarify.
Okay, because surrender can sound passive, like giving up.
Right, but that's not the meaning here. Surrender is not resignation. It doesn't mean you need to accept an undesirable or unpleasant life situation and do nothing if action is possible. If you can take action to change things, you do.
So what is surrender then?
Surrender is a purely inner phenomenon. It's about accepting the isness of the present moment, unconditionally, without inner resistance. It's saying yes to life as it is right now, on the inside, even if you're taking action to change things on the outside.
Okay, can you give an example?
The analogy often used is being stuck in the mud. Obviously, you want to get out. That's the external action you'll take. But internally, instead of raging, complaining, feeling like a victim, hi me, this always happens.
Which wastes a lot of energy.
A ton of energy.
Yeah.
Instead, you narrow your attention down to the present moment without mentally labeling it in any way. You accept the fact that you're stuck right now. No judgment of the now.
So you stop fighting reality internally.
You stop the inner war. And from that place of inner acceptance, of non-resistance, any action you take becomes much more focused and effective. It's described as positive action, arising from clarity rather than negative action fueled by anger or despair.
That makes sense. Action driven by panic is rarely the best action.
Rarely. So even if you're working towards change, you continue to practice surrender by accepting each moment as it comes, without adding that layer of mental negativity.
You know, this reminds me of doing tasks I really dislike. That internal battle makes it so much worse.
Exactly. There's a great question you can ask yourself in any situation. Is there joy, ease, and lightness in what I am doing?
Joy, ease, and lightness.
Okay. If the answer is no, it's a pretty clear sign that time is covering up the present moment and life is perceived as a burden or a struggle. You're probably resisting the now.
So if there's no joy, I should stop doing it, change my job.
Well, not necessarily. That's the fascinating part. Often it's not about changing what you're doing, but changing how you're doing it. As the saying goes, how is always more important than what.
Changing the how. Meaning, bringing presence to it.
Yes, giving your fullest attention to the action itself, rather than being mentally focused on the desired result or complaining about the process, fully accepting what is in that moment. You can't give your full attention to something and resist it at the same time.
So even doing taxes could become, well, maybe not joyful, but less of a struggle.
Less of a struggle, certainly. More peaceful. When you bring full attention and acceptance, the quality of the experience changes. The task transforms from a burden into a practice of presence.
And the effect of that shift, that inner surrender.
It's profound. As soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolve, and life begins to flow with joy and ease. It's like dropping a heavy weight you didn't even realize you were carrying.
This sounds amazing.
And when your actions come from that place of presence, whatever you do becomes imbued with a sense of quality, care, and love, even the most simple action.
Quality, care, and love, just from being present.
Yes, because you're connected to a deeper intelligence, to being. And another huge benefit is that you become less attached to the results.
Why is that?
Because your sense of fulfillment isn't dependent on the outcome anymore. It comes from the presence in the doing. So neither failure nor success has the power to change your inner state of being.
That's huge. Freedom from the roller coaster of success and failure.
It's immense freedom. And it reinforces this core idea. You cannot be conscious and unhappy, conscious and in negativity. Why? Because negativity, unhappiness, or suffering in whatever form means that there is resistance, and resistance is always unconscious.
So the moment you become conscious of the resistance, it starts to dissolve.
Awareness itself begins the transformation. Bringing consciousness to the unconscious pattern is the key.
Okay, this ties into something else you mentioned earlier, this concept of the pain body. Can we unpack that a bit more? It sounds important.
Yes, definitely. The pain body is described as the accumulation of past emotional pain that resides within us.
Accumulated past pain, like old hurts and traumas.
Exactly. All the unresolved emotional residue from the past, sadness, anger, fear, grief, it doesn't just disappear. It coalesces into this mental and emotional pattern, an energy field within us, the leftovers of all the past pains.
So it's like carrying around an invisible backpack full of old pain.
That's a good way to think of it.
Yeah.
And it's not always active. It can lie dormant, sometimes for long periods.
But then it gets triggered.
Yes. Something happens, maybe a comment someone makes, a situation that vaguely resembles a past hurt, even just a thought, and boom, the pain body wakes up. It gets activated.
And what happens then?
It can literally take you over. It can transform their personality temporarily. Someone usually calm might become suddenly enraged, or someone cheerful might plunge into deep despair. It feeds on negativity and tries to create more situations that will cause pain because that's its food.
Wow. So it's like a separate entity almost hijacking you.
It can feel that way.
Yeah.
Like a psychic parasite, seeking more suffering to sustain itself. And it often drives us to unconsciously recreate painful scenarios in our lives.
Okay, that sounds pretty bleak. How do you get free from something like that?
The approach is consistent with everything we've discussed. Awareness. Not fighting it. Fighting it just feeds it energy. Instead, we must not fight the reactions, but simply watch them. See the pain body's reaction as something separate from you.
Ah, so it's that disidentification again, recognizing, this isn't me, this is the pain body acting up.
Exactly. You witness it, you feel the emotion intensely, but you don't become the emotion. You don't act it out unconsciously. You bring presence to it. And over time, this will starve the pattern of energy, and we can regain control over ourselves.
You cut off its food supply, your identification with it.
Precisely. By observing it without judgment, you withdraw the unconscious energy it needs.
But you mentioned earlier this can be hard for some people. Why?
Because, weirdly enough, for some individuals, an important source of their identity is their past pain. The ego can actually identify with suffering. I am someone who has suffered.
So letting go of the pain feels like letting go of themselves.
On an unconscious level, yes. There can be a deep reluctance to release that familiar, albeit painful identity. So the first step is always bringing conscious awareness to it. This feeling, this reaction, this is the pain body. That awareness is the beginning of liberation.
It helps to remember those two levels of pain you mentioned. The pain we create now through resistance.
Yes, always some form of non-acceptance, some form of unconscious resistance to what is.
And the pain from the past that lives on as the pain body.
And the present moment resistance often triggers and fuels the old pain body, creating that feedback loop, that cycle of suffering. It all happens unconsciously until we bring awareness to it.
So awareness breaks the cycle. But what about really intense situations? Major losses, disasters. Can this approach still apply?
It's believed that it can, and sometimes those very limit situations, as they're called, can be powerful catalysts. When something happens that completely shatters your world, your assumptions, your ego structures.
When nothing makes sense anymore.
Exactly. That breakdown can actually crack the hard shell of ego and force into surrender. It can push you into an awakened state because the old ways of coping, the old mental structures, simply don't work anymore. Resistance becomes futile.
So extreme suffering can sometimes lead to profound peace.
There are many accounts suggesting this. When you completely surrender to the unbearable, something shifts. The invitation, even in deep suffering, is to use it for enlightenment, to transmute base metal into gold, suffering into consciousness, disaster into enlightenment.
How? By feeling the pain fully but without the story.
Yes. Feel it, allow it, but don't mentally label it. Don't create a victim identity around it. Bring your conscious presence into the pain. It's described as the miracle of surrender that transmutes deep suffering into deep peace. It's a profound alchemy.
That's a challenging but incredibly hopeful perspective on suffering. It suggests even the hardest times hold potential for transformation.
Absolutely. It reframes challenges not just as things to endure, but potentially as portals.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly inward, literally, to the body. You mentioned earlier the body can be an anchor to the present.
Yes, a very powerful one. Think about it. When your mind is totally dominant, when your mind takes up all your attention, where are you? You're lost in thought, right? You're essentially not in your body.
Disconnected, living in my head.
Exactly. But the body is always here, always now. It doesn't live in the past or future. So reclaiming consciousness from the mind often involves directing attention into the body.
How does that work? What am I focusing on?
Not just the physical sensations on the surface, but the feeling of aliveness within. Being can be felt in the first instance as the invisible energy field that gives life to what you perceive as the physical body.
An inner energy field, like feeling the life inside my hands or feet.
Yes, exactly. Feel the subtle vibration, the aliveness. Can you feel that your hands are alive right now without even looking at them?
Yes, if I focus, there's a sort of tingling, a presence.
That's it. That feeling grounds you immediately in the now. It pulls your attention out of abstract thought and into direct, felt experience.
And you can deepen this connection.
You can. By focusing on this inner energy field, feeling it throughout your body, you can almost merge with it until the distinction between inner and outer also dissolves.
Wow, dissolves.
By going deeply into the inner body, you feel its aliveness so intensely that you sense it connecting with the energy beyond the physical form. You transcend the body, in a sense, accessing that formless realm, the stillness, the being we talked about earlier.
The source beyond thought and form.
Yes, it's a way to directly access that deeper dimension through the portal of your own body. It frees you from being solely identified with your physical form.
What are some practical ways to cultivate this inner body awareness?
One of the most powerful and readily available is conscious breathing. Simply bringing awareness to the sensation of the breath flowing in and out.
Just noticing the breath, not trying to change it.
Just noticing. Feeling the air move, the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen. Each conscious breath creates a gap in the stream of your mind's incessant chatter.
Another way to create those gaps of presence?
Exactly. You can do it anywhere, anytime. Especially useful during those transition moments, getting out of the car, waiting for a call to connect, walking down a hallway. Anchor yourself in the breath, feel your inner body. It brings you right back to presence.
And again, the measure of success is that feeling of peace.
The degree of peace that you feel within. It's your internal guide. More peace means more presence, more connection to being.
Can I combine this with daily activities like feel my inner body while I'm working or talking?
Absolutely. That's the goal integration. The suggestion is to listen or read with your whole body or keep some of your attention within while you're engaged externally.
How does that work? Splitting attention.
It's not really splitting, more like maintaining a background awareness. Do not give all your attention away to the mind and the external world. By all means, focus on what you are doing, but feel the inner body at the same time whenever possible. Stay rooted within.
Stay rooted within. I like that.
Then just observe how this changes your state of consciousness and the quality of what you are doing. You'll likely find you're calmer, more centered, more effective, less reactive.
And are there other benefits to this inner-body connection? Health benefits, maybe?
Yes, that's highlighted too. The more consciousness you bring into the body, the stronger the immune system becomes.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
described as a potent form of self-healing. When you flood the body with conscious attention, it's like every cell awakens and rejoices.
Hmm.
Presence itself seems to have a profoundly beneficial effect on the body's intelligence and vitality.
That's fascinating. Consciousness is healing?
And it goes further.
Hmm.
Inhabiting your body consciously is said to strengthen your psychic immune system.
Psychic immune system. What's that?
It means you become less susceptible to absorbing the negative mental emotional force fields of others. When you're grounded in your own presence, your energy frequency is higher, making it harder for negativity from others to hook into you or drain you.
So it helps you stay centered even around stressed or negative people.
Exactly. You maintain your inner state more easily. It's a form of inner protection that arises naturally from presence.
This all leads towards this idea of enlightenment, which sounds very grand, very far off.
It often does, doesn't it? We picture monks on mountaintops. But the perspective here radically reframes it. Enlightenment is not a distant achievement, but an accessible state of consciousness.
Accessible now.
Accessible now. A state where you're free from the dominance of thought and suffering, experiencing deep inner peace. Remember the Buddha's definition.
The end of suffering.
Simply the end of suffering. It's not about becoming superhuman. It's about waking up from the dream of egoic identification, recognizing your true nature beneath the mind-made self.
So it's not about gaining something, but realizing what's already here.
Precisely. It shifts the whole focus away from future chasing. Salvation, fulfillment, it's not out there or later. It's a state of being to be recognized in the now.
Okay, so what does the state feel like? Is it like being in a trance?
No, quite the opposite. It's not a trance-like state. There's no loss of consciousness here. The opposite is the case. You become more awake, more alive, more intensely present than ever before.
More alert, not less.
Much more alert. It involves regaining awareness of being and abiding in that state of feeling realization. It's a felt sense, not just an idea.
And that I am realization you mentioned.
Yes, that deep intuitive sense of your own presence, your own existence prior to any thoughts or labels.
Yeah.
It is not a thought. It arises from beyond the mind. It's a direct knowing.
Can you get glimpses of this?
Absolutely. Those moments of satori, the Zen term for a sudden flash of insight, a moment of no mind and total presence, those are tastes of enlightenment. They show you it's possible.
And the key step towards this state.
The single most vital step is learning to disidentify from your mind, recognizing you are the awareness, not the content of the mind. That's the doorway.
This raises a practical question, though. Is it like, boom, you're enlightened, or is it more of an ongoing process? Can you be fully enlightened all the time?
That's a common point of discussion. Some perspectives suggest the path is lifelong. The ego, the old patterns, they have momentum. They'll likely resurface. Maybe you'll never be there 100% of the time. That's impossible as humans.
So it's not about achieving permanent perfection.
Perhaps not in the way we imagine. But the key insight is that recognizing the ego when it surfaces, catching yourself getting lost in thought again, that recognition is a gift in itself.
Because the awareness is back.
The awareness is back. The practice then becomes about slipping in and out of the present easier, increasing the frequency and duration of presence, and recovering more quickly when you do get lost.
So freedom from suffering isn't about reaching a final destination.
It's more about realizing you are there already, in that deeper dimension. You are complete and whole now beneath the surface drama. That realization itself brings immense peace, regardless of whether the mind is perfectly silent 24/7.
That takes the pressure off somehow.
It does. It shifts from striving to recognition. Interestingly, these ideas sometimes connect to broader concepts, like interpreting the second coming, not as a person arriving, but as a collective transformation of human consciousness, a shift from time to presence, from thinking to pure consciousness.
An inner awakening for humanity.
That's the idea, a shift happening within us. And on a personal level, an unmistakable sign that you have truly surrendered, truly accessed this state, is often that sudden feeling of lightness, clarity, and deep peace. It's a felt reality.
Let's bring this into another crucial area. Relationships. They can be sources of great joy, but also great suffering.
Absolutely. And this perspective sees relationships not just as sources of potential pain, but as powerful opportunities for spiritual growth by bringing unconscious patterns to light.
How so? By showing us our stuff.
Pretty much. The idea is that intimate relationships do not cause pain and unhappiness. They bring out the pain and unhappiness that is already in you.
Oof. That's a tough pill to swallow sometimes. It feels like the other person is causing the pain.
It really does feel that way.
Huh.
But this view suggests they are often just triggering your own dormant pain body, your own egoic defenses and patterns that were already there, waiting. The relationship acts like a mirror.
Reflecting my own inner state back at me.
Exactly. Which shifts the focus from blaming them to looking within, to take a responsibility for your own reactions and stored pain.
This relates to what you said about addictive relationships.
Yes, like any addiction, they often arise from an unconscious refusal to face and move through your own pain.
How does that work in romance?
The initial intense euphoria, that feeling of being in love, can sometimes be an intense addictive state. You feel so alive, so complete with the other person that it temporarily covers up your pain, your underlying feeling of lack or incompleteness.
Like a drug that makes you feel whole for a while.
Exactly. But inevitably, the drug no longer works. The initial high fades, the underlying pain and patterns resurface, often felt even more intensely than before.
And then what happens?
Projection. You now perceive your partner as the cause of those feelings. The person who seemed to be the source of your salvation now seems to be the source of your pain.
Leading to blame, arguments, resentment.
Attacks, defensiveness, power games, a cycle of conflict driven by unconsciousness and unmet egoic needs.
So what's the alternative? Is true love possible?
True love, described here, arises from beyond the mind. It's rare because it has no opposite. It's not the flip side of hate or neediness. It's not dependent on the other person fulfilling your ego's demands. It's a state of being, of deep connection that recognizes the other beyond their ego.
Wow. So how do we transform our relationships from these potentially addictive, ego-driven cycles into something more conscious?
By approaching them as a spiritual practice, seeing the inevitable conflicts and triggers not as disasters, but as opportunities, not a problem.
Opportunities to see my own patterns.
Exactly. Instead of automatically reacting with judgment, blame, or defensiveness, the practice is to turn inward and observe your own thoughts and emotions with compassion. Notice your reaction without necessarily acting on it immediately.
And trying to see beyond my partner's ego, too. Asking, can you recognize that your partner's unconscious behaviors are not who they truly are?
Yes. Can you hold the space to see the being within them, even when their ego or pain body is activated? This doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, but it changes your inner stance from reactivity to presence.
Bringing awareness into the dynamic?
Precisely. Because unconsciousness cannot coexist with awareness. When you bring conscious presence to the interaction, you disrupt the unconscious patterns. You can foster genuine love and oneness.
How does that look practically? Expressing feelings without attacking.
Yes, expressing your experience honestly but without blame. Listening with an open, non-defensive mind. Creating space for both people's truth, without the ego needing to win or be right.
Letting go of those ego needs.
When you let go of ego-driven needs and patterns, the connection has a chance to deepen, to blossom into a reflection of the love and oneness at the core of your being.
And this connects to compassion.
Deeply. Because at the level of being, all suffering is recognized as an illusion. Suffering is due to identification with form. Seeing this shared human tendency allows for true compassion, the awareness of a deep bond between yourself and all creatures.
Recognizing our shared humanity, our shared vulnerability.
Yes, and our shared impermanence. It's a sobering and humbling realization that leaves little room for pride, fostering connection instead of separation.
Okay, let's circle back one more time to this core idea of time, because it feels so fundamental. Psychological time versus clock time.
It really is the bedrock. Worth revisiting. The core reminder, the now is the only true reality. Everything else past, future exists only as thought forms in the now.
And identifying with those thought forms leads to suffering, stress, anxiety.
All of it. True peace is only found here, in full presence. Clock time is the tool for practical life.
Appointments, planning.
Right. But psychological time is the mind's identification with past and future, creating that constant inner noise and unease.
It's fascinating how time and mind are inseparable.
It is. Remove time from the mind, and it stops unless you choose to use it. The mind, left to its own devices, always seeks to deny the now and to escape from it.
Always looking for that future fix, that moment when things will finally be okay.
Constantly projecting into the future for release or fulfillment. Believing happiness is just around the corner, if only X, Y, or Z would happen.
Which is often just an escape from the unsatisfactory present.
Exactly. An obsession with the future that completely covers up the reality of the present moment where life is actually happening.
And the direct result is all that negative emotion.
Yes. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence. And looking back, guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non-forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence.
Wow. It really maps it out clearly. So much negativity stems from not being here.
It's a direct correlation. The mind dwelling outside the game now creates this inner pollution.
So practically, how do we keep bringing ourselves back? How do we let go of psychological time?
Vigilance and practice. Use clock time when needed for practical things, absolutely. But then the key is to immediately return to present moment awareness when those practical matters have been dealt with.
Don't stay mentally lingering in the plan or the memory.
Right. Drop it. Come back here. Make it a habit to check in with yourself. Monitor your mental, emotional state through self-observation.
Using that question, am I at ease at this moment?
That's a fantastic anchor. Asking that frequently brings you right back. Am I present? Or am I caught in resistance, judgment, mental projection? It interrupts the autopilot.
It really challenges that deep-seated belief in future fulfillment, doesn't it? That idea that more will make me happier.
Completely. It dismantles the illusion of fulfillment tied to future attainment, getting more stuff, achieving more goals, thinking that will somehow make you psychologically complete.
Because salvation or peace isn't out there.
Salvation is not found in the future or in external events, but in the present moment. It's not something you achieve, it's a state of being to be recognized.
Right here, right now.
The journey is inward and the destination is here. As the paradoxical phrase goes, you get there by realizing that you are there already.
That's a mind bender, but liberating.
Deeply liberating when you truly grasp it.
Now, as with any powerful set of ideas, there are always different perspectives, nuances, even criticisms. It feels important to touch on those too, right? Not just present this as a perfect, unquestionable system.
Absolutely vital. Engaging with criticisms deepens understanding. It's not about finding flaws necessarily, but seeing the full picture. And yes, questions do arise. For instance, the whole area around spiritual teachings and money.
Right, the monetization aspect. Does charging for talks or books about non-attachment create a contradiction? It's a common discussion.
It is, and it highlights a real-world tension. Beyond that, there are critiques of the concepts themselves. Some find the core message wonderful, but maybe hard to put into action.
Like, okay, be here now, but how exactly?
Precisely. Some critiques suggest it's not very actionable to a beginner, that the leap from intellectual understanding to lived experience needs maybe more intermediate steps outlined for some people.
This seems fair. It can feel like a big jump. What about the definition of the ego?
That's another area. Some find the definition primarily rooted in thought, identification, and fear of annihilation, maybe a bit nonsensical or incomplete.
Incomplete. How?
Well, for example, is the fear of death always just the ego fearing its demise? What about a deep natural love for life, for connection, for creativity? Is the sadness of dying young with unrealized potential purely ego? Some argue it oversimplifies complex human motivations.
So acknowledging that our drives might be more complex than just egoic fear.
Right. Or the idea of observing without judgment. While crucial for inner peace, where's the line?
The line regarding...
What? Regarding objectively harmful actions. If you witness cruelty or injustice, is pure, non-judgmental observation the appropriate response? Critics worry that an extreme interpretation could lead to passivity, to normalizing what clearly needs active intervention fueled by compassion and a sense of right and wrong.
That's a really important point. Presence shouldn't mean ethical blindness.
It shouldn't. True awareness likely includes recognizing harm and responding appropriately from a place of clarity rather than reactive anger, but responding nonetheless.
What about the idea of sudden awakening versus gradual practice?
Yeah, the author's own dramatic, sudden shift is central to the narrative. Some question if someone who experienced such an abrupt transformation who took a flight, as one critique put it, can fully relate to or guide those on a more gradual path, those learning to walk from A to B.
Implying a potential disconnect between the experience and the teaching method.
Potentially, for some learners. It highlights that spiritual paths can look very different, and ultimately, all spiritual teachings are constrained by the limits of language. Words can only point the way. They aren't the destination itself, leading to inevitable variations in interpretation.
Which brings it back to the individual, doesn't it? You have to find what resonates with you, what actually helps you.
Exactly. Take what speaks to you and leave the rest.
It's not about finding the one perfect teacher or system, but about finding tools and pointers that help you navigate your own unique inner journey.
Using the insights as guides, not dogma.
Precisely. And it's worth remembering, despite any critiques or nuances, the core message here about presence, awareness, disidentification from the compulsive mind has profoundly helped countless people. It's offered a lifeline out of deep suffering.
Even if just one idea clicks, it can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. As the saying goes, even if one sentence in a book is useful, then reading the book was not a waste of time. The value lies in the potential for genuine inner transformation. Okay, as we draw this deep dive to a close, let's leave our listeners with a final thought to chew on. A provocative question, maybe.
Sounds good.
If you truly, deeply embrace this fundamental idea that you are not your mind, and that true peace only exists, now how might that completely change everything? How might it redefine success for you? Change how you face challenges? Alter your understanding of life's meaning, knowing your essential nature might be timeless, beyond form.
That's a powerful reflection. And perhaps consider this too. What if this power of now isn't just a philosophy, something to grasp intellectually, but a living reality to step into?
Yeah.
What if the answers you're searching for aren't in the future, but are already resolved, waiting for you in the stillness of this moment, if you just dare to be fully present to it? What happens then?
This was it on today's Book Guys. And guys, kindly subscribe and follow us for more such insights on various books. And also, do not forget to join our social media community to stay in touch and get updated.